John Lee demands that the UK fairly handle the national security allegations involving a staff member of the city's Economic and Trade Office in London. And the Biden administration announces plans to slap new tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, solar cells, and other products. Hello and welcome to TVB News. The U.S. Biden administration has announced plans to slap new tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, advanced batteries, solar cells, steel, aluminum, and medical equipment. The tariffs are to be phased in over the next 3 years. Those that take effect in 2024 cover EVs, solar cells, syringes, needles, steel, aluminum, and more. The White House National Economic Council said the tariffs will raise the cost of select Chinese goods. The body said it would help thwart what it called Beijing's efforts to dominate the market for emerging technologies in ways that pose risks to U.S. national security and economic stability. U.S. officials worry low-priced models made possible by Chinese government subsidies could soon start flooding the U.S. market. China maintains U.S. tariffs are in violation of the global trade rules that the United States originally helped establish through the World Trade Organization. The Chinese Foreign Ministry said last Friday any new tariffs would compound problems caused by those already implemented by the Trump administration, which Biden has kept. UK authorities yesterday charged 3 men, including the office manager of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in London, with assisting a Hong Kong intelligence service under the British National Security Act. Chief Executive John Lee said he cannot accept any unreasonable accusation against the Hong Kong government. Timothy Lee tells us more.
The 3 male suspects were granted bail with a further hearing set to take place on the 24th of this month. The men were charged with assisting a Hong Kong intelligence agency, engaging in foreign interference work, and monitoring residents in the UK. They were also accused of forced entry into a local residence. According to British media, 38-year-old Wai Chi Leung, who is one of the suspects, has dual British and Chinese nationality. Another suspect, 37-year-old Matthew Trickett, is an employee of the British Home Office and once served in the Royal Marines. The third suspect is 63-year-old Yun Chong-biu, the office manager of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in London. Chief Executive John Lee said before the Executive Council meeting today, the mission of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office in London is to promote the SAR to the British community and increase their understanding of business opportunities in the city.
We have seriously demanded the UK side to fairly handle the matter. It effectively protects the legitimate rights and interests of the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Office manager who was alleged to be involved, and ensure that the normal work of the ETO is not affected. Any attempt to make unwarranted allegation against the Hong Kong SL government is unacceptable.
Yun Chong-biu is a former member of the police force. Reports say he studied with John Lee in Australia previously, and a photo of the pair appeared on the internet. The CE said his memory of Yun is based on this image. Meanwhile, Ministry of Foreign Affairs spokesman Wang Wenbin said the British government's continuous allegations of Chinese spies and cyber attacks are entirely fabricated and meant to slander China. He stressed Beijing's strong condemnation of London's actions. The Chinese embassy in the UK has issued a statement emphasizing that Hong Kong has long returned to China, adding that the UK has no authority to involve itself in matters related to the SAR. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The mainland earlier added 8 cities to the individual visit scheme, which permits residents to travel to Hong Kong without joining a tour group. Chief Executive John Lee expects the measure will attract an additional 300,000 tourists to the city per year and increase consumption by over $1 billion.
These 8 cities have diverse cultural and religious backgrounds. The people from these 8 cities also have different preferences when it comes to food and other choices. And apart from shopping, these visitors would prefer city walk and in-depth tourism.
Residents from the 8 cities, including Urumqi, Hohhot, and Yinchuan in northern China, will arrive in the city on the 27th of this month at the earliest. The Hong Kong Tourism Board will welcome the visitors with $200 coupons. The chief executive in council has approved a plan to reform the Social Workers Registration Board. The reforms consist of vastly increasing the number of appointed members. There will also be a requirement for new board members to take an oath and pledge allegiance to the SAR government. The membership of the Social Workers Registration Board will increase from 15 to 27, with members appointed by the chief executive rising from 6 to 17. The amendments state that any social workers who have committed a national security offense or crimes such as child abuse, rape, or murder will have their licenses permanently revoked. Aid workers struggled Monday to distribute food and other supplies to hundreds of thousands of Palestinians displaced by Israel's military operation in Rafah. This as the 2 main crossings near the southern Gaza city remain closed. Meanwhile, Israeli forces pushed deep into Gaza's northern edge to recapture an area from Hamas fighters. In the south, tanks and troops pushed across a highway into Rafah, leaving Palestinian civilians scrambling to find safety. Tracy Furness has more.
Israel marked its 76th Independence Day Monday after sundown to reflect the somber mood of the country. The ceremony was scaled down, pre-recorded with no audience, and the official Air Force flyby was cancelled. Amir Ohana from the Israeli legislature made a speech directed at the 128 hostages still captive in Gaza months after Hamas raided Israel on October 7th, saying the 76th Independence Day is not complete without you. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also spoke at a Memorial Day event in Jerusalem, saying Israel will never forget the massacre of families, babies, children, adults, the elderly, women and men, and abductees. We are constantly working to bring everyone back. Meanwhile, Palestinians reported heavy Israeli bombardment overnight in the urban Jabalia refugee camp and other areas in northern Gaza. Residents say Israeli warplanes and artillery also struck Zaytun east of Gaza City. And neighbouring Egypt has issued its strongest objection yet to Israel's growing offensive in the southern city of Rafah, saying it intends to formally join South Africa's case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. This as a UN security staff member was killed Monday when a UN-marked vehicle travelling to a Rafah hospital was struck. The White House is reiterating concerns about Israeli military actions in Gaza using US weapons could give rise to a new generation of anti-American militants. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan admitted, "We know that it is not as simple as executing a military operation and calling it a day."
One of the risks of engaging in any kind of counterinsurgency campaign is the ability of the terrorist group to attract more recruits and more followers as time goes on. This is something we have talked to the Israelis about.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
A large billboard collapsed onto people during heavy rain and thunderstorms last night in India's western city of Mumbai, killing at least 14 and injuring 74 others. A rescue operation was ongoing with some people believed to be still trapped. The rain, accompanied by high winds, caused the 30-meter-tall billboard to fall over a suburban gas station. People are investigating the incident and say the billboard was illegally installed. The officials said more than 30 of the injured had been discharged from the hospital. Director of the Hong Kong and Macau Affairs Office, Xia Baolong, continued his visit in Macau. Xia was accompanied by Macau Chief Executive Ho Yat-seng to a restaurant and spoke with several community representatives about their livelihood and business issues in the enclave. They said Xia encouraged them to serve as a bridge between the community and the government. Xia then stayed at the Macau government headquarters for around 2 hours before visiting a national security education exhibition in the afternoon. With the current geopolitical situation making it sometimes challenging for Hong Kong businesses, the president of the Chinese General Chamber of Commerce of Hong Kong said the city should look into ASEAN countries for business opportunities. Jonathan Choi said on TVB Straight Talk program that Southeast Asian countries offer new opportunities.
I think the world has changed. In the past 20 to 30 years, these countries has been growing up. They earned a lot of foreign exchange from overseas, like US and Europe. And now the young population, they are educated, and the middle class is coming up. Therefore, there's a good market for new products from Hong Kong.
Choi also said Hong Kong should attract successful companies in Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand to consider IPOs in the city. Traditionally, most ASEAN companies are listed in Singapore. For stroke patients, there is conventional thinking that endovascular treatment would be too late after the 6-hour golden window. But a University of Hong Kong medical faculty research found that endovascular treatment for ischemic stroke patients after the 6-hour golden period remains effective for as many as a third of certain types of patients. Mimo Singhai reports.
Stroke is the fourth leading cause of death in the city. In 2021, more than 3,000 people died out of 50,000 new stroke cases. Traditionally, the treatment method is intra-arterial mechanical thrombectomy, which uses a catheter to remove the blood clot within 6 hours since stroke symptom onset, the 6-hour golden window. But University of Hong Kong research team found that patients who were given the endovascular treatment beyond 6 hours from symptom onset could still recover well. The team studied 55 stroke patients who were given an endovascular treatment after more than 6 hours. 90 days after the treatment, 36% of them could live independently. The findings can benefit wake-up stroke patients, those who had a stroke while asleep.
The last time you see your parents or the relatives would be the time before they go to bed. So the next time when you see them having a stroke would be in the morning. So that's the gap we found is more than 6 hours, that most of the patient would fall into the wake-up stroke category. And we found that actually those stroke happens just before they wake up and realize that they are actually have a good survival and good outcome.
While the team proves that the golden period can be expanded, patients must meet some criteria first, including an acceptable self-care ability.
They have a very poor premorbid condition. They have previous stroke, they cannot walk. Even we salvage some amount of brain, they cannot translate into actual benefit. So we decide to highly select those with premorbid good condition rather than treating everyone.
The team said advanced imaging technology and artificial intelligence helped the selection process.
The doctors stressed that patients with stroke symptoms should seek medical treatment as soon as possible. Meanwhile, they advised the public to regularly exercise to reduce the risks of stroke. Mimo Singhai, TVB News.
The U.S. and Taiwan navies conducted joint drills in the Pacific in April that officially did not take place. Some people briefed on the matter said. Washington and Taipei have been expanding their military cooperation in recent years amid Chinese incursions into Taiwan's air defense identification zone and drills by Chinese forces near the island. U.S.-Taiwan military engagement are kept low-key and are often not officially confirmed because of Chinese objections. The drills, which were not publicized, took place last month in the Western Pacific, according to the sources. A source said the drills did not officially exist and dubbed unplanned sea encounters. This is a tacit agreement in which both sides claim the exercises were simply the result of coincidental encounters. That's the news. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.